We took our Storyfest winners last year to Alaska. One of our students produced a short video, which we're going to use to introduce our next section leading up to the prize. Here's what a clip of this video looks like.
A lot of people don't have this opportunity. And as students, whether you're in school or not, we should all be trying to learn from those around us and learn from places we haven't been. My name is Alex Rubenstein. I'm a filmmaker in DC. I just graduated from George Washington University. Our Storyfest 2018 trip to Alaska involved everyone flying through Seattle up to Sitka, Alaska, and then from Sitka we boarded Lindblad Expeditions cruise ship, the Sea Lion. And for a week long we went from inlet to inlet, island to island, glacier to glacier, all along the southeast coast of Alaska.
Through this Lindblad partnership, we were able to bring our Planet Forward Storyfest winners to Alaska, where they spent time with naturalists and scientists, learned from photographers and storytellers. They saw and experienced the wildlife and the ecosystems of this incredible place.
I had never been to Alaska before, and I have never seen a place that was more beautiful, untouched by people. It was just amazing.
Yesterday, I went on a flight scene tour of Petersburg, Alaska, and the LeConte Glacier. It was breathtaking, absolutely gorgeous. There are these interesting pools of blue water that just end up appearing on top of the glacier, and it's absolutely fascinating. It was a blue that I'd never actually seen before.
Nat Geo has amazing photographers and videographers that work on the ship that give you tips and tricks and give you workshops.
We would go on hikes and we would go kayaking. All the while people would be there with cameras just trying to teach us how to photograph and adjust what we were doing.
In taking all of that and putting that together in stories, they learn by doing and they inspire by telling.
If you're a scientist, if you're a journalist, if you just like to take pictures, it's definitely an amazing opportunity.
This is valuable because we're sending students there with a purpose to tell a story, to find something new, to find a new perspective. I think that really enables us to take advantage and harness the power of visual storytelling to another degree.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sven Lindblad. Awesome stuff, awesome stuff. So you can pick one or two. I'll do this way. Talk for a couple minutes and then we'll get into our awards. Let's talk about, this was Alaska last year. You're all over the world. Next year it's Galapagos. Galapagos is special.
This year, right?
This year, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This last.
August 16th.
August 16th to the 25th.
Yeah. So what's so special about the Galapagos?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's well, the Galapagos is an archipelago about 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, where there is more endemism than pretty much anywhere on the world.
Endemism is endemic species.
Endemic species that exist nowhere else in the world. And of course, Charles Darwin helped make the place famous. I mean, talk about a pitchman for a place. Charles Darwin did a great job, and of course wrote The Origin of Species, where he got his inspiration from finches and mockingbirds in the Galapagos Islands. So there's a lot of science, there's a lot of beauty, there's a lot of diverse animal life. I've been there at least 50 times in my life because I've had to go there for a variety of reasons, a tough job. And of course the winners, you're going to have an absolutely wonderful time.
You know, Sven, one of the things that I have come to appreciate and adore about you is I talked earlier about proselytizing. You're a story proselytizer. I mean, it's actually something that is communicated to the guests on the ships for them to be storytellers. Why is that? Why is that so important?
Well, at the end of the day, I came to this business not so much wanting to build a business. I came to it really as a naturalist, an amateur naturalist and a photographer. And I really felt that the business was an opportunity to expose people to the world, to teach them something about the world, to inspire them about what's out there and what's important, and to help all of our guests become, in their way, communicators. And of course, that's been elevated so much in recent years as a consequence of technology. And I mean, just the iPhone itself and what that's done in terms of making it possible for literally everybody to tell a story.
It's incredible. Now, we're seeing some of your pictures here. You're a photographer.
I am.
That's what I'm told.
Well, I'm not as good as Steve.
Nobody's as good as Steve. Look at that.
Yeah, I tried one of those camera traps once when I was living in Kenya in the 70s, but it was way more primitive at the time, and I utterly failed at absolutely everything I tried to do.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I doubt that very much. But perhaps you'd explain to people why we're doing this. You know, you and I met. We met through Betty Hudson, our friend, who's was a communications person at National Geographic for years and years. And she said, "You two guys really need to meet because you're both about story." And now you're providing this incredible opportunity for our students. So I would invite you to share your reasoning for that. And I want to hear that too. No, I know.
Well, I mean, the reasoning is really, I think, kind of simple. So, I migrate through the world here and there, and I meet all these wonderfully interesting people, and every now and then those wonderfully interesting people have a wonderfully interesting idea.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, what can we do to support that? So whether it has to do with science, whether it has to do with photography, whether it has to do with teachers, we have this program going on at National Geographic now. We have 45 teachers that we're sending all over the world as part of a program called the Grosvenor Teachers Fellows. And this is an opportunity to engage with students. And so we're constantly looking for, either intentionally or just by serendipity, where are those opportunities where we can kind of leverage what we're doing and add value to knowledge and how knowledge is transmitted. And hey, we've got lots of challenges in the world, and so the more the better.
The more the better, and our students out there is really important. Something else I want to invite you to talk about. You were here for Tom Zacky's talk yesterday, and everybody was impressed by what Tom is doing, and we've talked a lot about plastic and waste and all of that. You're on these seas all the time, and you've tried to be a leader in what you're doing with some of this, and perhaps you can share that with folks, because I was actually on one of the ships when I think a pretty big announcement was made.
Well, I mean, for years and years and years, we've been reducing our use of plastic. But then last year, we finally got to the final stage where we eliminated the last bit of any plastic, single-use plastic that is consumer-facing.
There are you, by the way. You're helping some kid take a picture.
That's my son.
That's your son. That's not some kid.
Yeah, I'm just judging his photography.
I see.
Saying you're going to be better than I am, and this is a joke. And now we're working with the supply chain, which of course is even more critical. Right? So we're working with all our suppliers to try and figure out, how can we get what we need. And that's not going to be a perfect system. We're not going to eliminate all plastics from the supply chain overnight, but we will over time because we're determined to do it. But this business of plastic in the oceans, and I mean, obviously I spend a lot of time at sea. And the other day I was in Lanai.
I think, is that you? I think so.
I don't think that's me.
No?
No, I'm not that good looking. No. That's a lady.
Oh, maybe you're taking the picture.
Yeah, I'm taking the picture, yeah. So we were in Lanai, and there was this massive ball of nets, ghost fishing nets, and we took our boat the next day and said, let's go back and get it. It turned out it was like 30 feet long and about 1,500 pounds, and it was like 50, 60 nets, jumbled together, and we brought it ashore in Lanai. And the local folks got really pissed off with us. They said, why'd you bring this ashore? I said, well, we're supposed to leave it just on the rocks out there. But this stuff is all over the place. And you just cannot escape plastic, and we just have to figure this out because did you read about this, one of several whales very, very recently. This one was in the Mediterranean, had a baby in its stomach, a sperm whale, and 50 pounds of plastic, which completely kept its system from functioning.
That's right. No, it's a terrible thing. So share this with us, and then we're going to move to the presentations, because I think it's really interesting. You are a naturalist, and you also do a lot of philanthropy, supporting local cultures and supporting conservation, environmentalism in many of the places, in all the places really where you operate. Certainly in the Galapagos, you support local artists in a variety of different ways. But how do you balance, Sven, wanting to help preserve these areas, help preserve these cultures, with also wanting to have a successful business where you're building some of the very tourist traffic that may put pressure on these ecosystems?
That's a very good question. So, way back I developed a lens. which is basically a triangle. And the triangle has 3 points. It has the place, it has the visitor, and it has us as an enterprise. And if you sort of imagine arrows flowing in all directions, and if it doesn't do that in some reasonable way, then the idea is not worth pursuing, right? So we are not, nor is anybody else in this room, going to have an effective business on a degraded planet. That's just not going to happen. And so just like an enterprise will, you know, invest in changing out an engine of a vehicle, let's say, or maintaining a ship or whatever, we've got to maintain place. And place involves its natural systems, it involves its human culture, it involves its ability to thrive and be healthy. And it makes no sense to try and do what we're doing if we're not, in one way or the other, trying to support those issues, you know, human health, natural health, you know, sustainability and such.
So do you modify, I mean, this is why you're working with the supply chain and your plastics and your food waste and all of this kind of thing, but are you also working with local governments? How do you work with, in the Galapagos, for example, they're pretty, you know, they've got tourism numbers are up, which bring pressures, but they're also fierce, as I understand it, the government there, about where people can go and what their impact can be in various places. So how do you work with local authorities on that?
Well, one of the things is to develop relationships at levels that are going to sustain or going to still be there through government changes, right? So if you spend too much time focusing very, very high up in the food chain, so to speak,
right,
those guys are going to be gone 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. But there are layers that are going to still be there, like the national park system. They're going to have different characters involved and whatever, but those are the areas where we believe it's very, very important to develop relationships so that we're partners. We have a seat at the table as it relates to some of the decisions that are being made. And that's a really, really important part of how to work in these places.
That's great. So should we move to the presentations?
Yeah, that's the fun part.
Should we figure out who's going to win and who's going to travel?
I just hate the idea that there's anyone who's not going to win.
So do I. You have no idea how painful this is.
Yeah.
But I think
I've talked to some of them yesterday, and they're like scared shit that they're not going to win.
Is that a technical term? I mean,
Oh, sorry. This is a
oh, they've never heard that before, so that's fine. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Dr. Cheers, we'll do this together here. So we have traveled, as you know, Planet Forward storytelling expeditions with Sven Lindblad, but also all over the world, right?
Yes, many places, and this is beyond exciting, sir. Thank you so much again for being here.
So as we mentioned, we've taken students to Italy with UNFAO to Rome. We've taken students to Brazil with Tom Lovejoy to Camp 41. We've taken students to Alaska last year with Lindblad, and this coming year, this coming summer, to the Galapagos. Dan Reed took students to California to see a water conservation project there. So this is a very important part of us. We have 30 finalists in 5 categories. We had completely independent judging. I want to make that very clear.
Yes.
That none of us had any impact on these judges or their judging. So Karen Kosmowski, she's a National Geographic photographer. She leads photo expeditions. Jean-Paul Polo, Discover Puerto Rico, that's what he does. He is also a videographer and a photographer. Rachel Aronoff, she's a freelance podcaster. Larry Evans, is Larry in the room?
I think so.
Larry was with us the other day. I didn't know whether he was going to be here. He's a formerly with Bloomberg BNA. And Sarah Snyder, she's a video producer with NBC News. So we really thank our judges who aren't with us today for all that they have done.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is we're going to tick through the categories. We're going to roll a little video. Where are the envelopes?
Jill just took them.
Where? Oh.
Thank you.
May we have the envelopes, please?
Yes,
So the envelopes are here.
Yep.
We're going to do this like the Oscars. What do you think? Something like the Oscars. And then we'll see a little clip, and then Sven is going to open the envelopes. You've got the comments along the way?
I have comments, yes.
Yep. Sven's going to open the envelopes after we do each one. So the first one is article,
Yep.
right?
Should we not stand in the way?
We should stand over here. And this is good.
We choreographed this, if
Yeah,
you couldn't tell.
this is we've rehearsed this. Never times. But you'll get a sense of what the finalists have done and who they are and where they're from in our video.
Nutritionist and storyteller Catherine Baker from Columbia University reveals how GMOs may help us address challenges in creating a sustainable food system. Reed Hutton takes us inside the big story of his school, Middlebury College, as it announces a bold 10-year commitment to become fossil fuel free by 2028. Dumpster diving? It's a date. It really is for Peter Jurich from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, who hits up local grocery stores' dumpsters to rescue fresh and unexpired foods. In the push to reshape our food system, GW Med student Harleen Marwa shares how world leaders are considering nutrition as a benchmark for achieving sustainability. Scientists are people too. Making the people behind science relatable is the goal of 2 different projects out of Navia Pathamsetti's University of California, Berkeley. What does it take to rescue a tree? Kylie Price of Wake Forest University takes root in Thailand, where monks are bringing Buddhist principles to the environmental movement. Luke Williamson of Sewanee dives into the water story in rural Tennessee, where access to clean water is a growing issue for some underserved communities. Tough. All right, Sven, go for it.
Jesus, this is terrible. Okay, the winner is Peter Jurich, University of Wisconsin-Madison. Dumpster diving. I had a feeling. Dumpster diving.
Well, Peter, it definitely paid off to go for Free Food February, so well done. And some of the remarks say that I think it was one of the best examples.
From one of the judges.
One of the judges. I think it was the best examples I've seen of the sort of storytelling Planet Forward seeks to encourage. He might not convince you to dive into a dumpster, but his story will convince you to consider just how much food is wasted in our everyday current distribution center.
Congratulations. All right, you have your...
Grab that.
Have one of these and take a seat.
Awesome.
All right. And our next category is
Multimedia photo essay.
multimedia photo essay.
And the nominees are
Mixing photography and narrative, DEVON CAMILLIERI of SUNY's College of Environmental Science and Forestry elevates the challenges facing water in Vieques, Puerto Rico, on the heels of unprecedented natural disaster. Plastic everywhere, and it's not going away. Vicky Deng of Reed College breaks it all down with a solution: plastic-eating bacteria. Using the power of the lens, Maura Fallon of GW exposes the unsettling visual of plastic that surrounds us and our responsibility as consumers. We're on thin ice, so engineers are exploring ways to save the ice walls that protect the ocean, wildlife, and landscapes of the Arctic, told by GW's Ashley Gallagher. In Madagascar, communities and characters are working to make conservation and biodiversity a reality. Sewanee's Vanessa Moss takes us there to meet the people and organizations working on these complex challenges. Amid climate change and uncertainty, cotton and its growers are especially vulnerable. In this photo essay by Justin Rex of Texas Tech University, we discover how science and genetics may help. All right.
Vicky Deng, the unseen heroes of our planet.
congratulations.
And the judges said?
Well-written piece with a very clear linear story development. Using heroes help connect the reader to the topic, focusing on the complicated story of plastic on research by fellow Reed College students, gave the reader a singular handle on what they can do to impact the vast world of plastic waste.
Bravo.
Well done.
Thank you. Great.
Oh, this flip you over.
All right. Our next category is the podcast category.
Miss podcast, Colin Boyle of Northwestern brings us two compelling characters with obstacles, the Chicago River and Margaret Frisbee. She's a woman who's dedicated her life to cleaning it up.
What I've learned from being at Friends of the Chicago River is that if you're looking, you see nature.
Lindsay Eberhardt from SUNY's College of Environmental Science and Forestry offers a poem for Vieques, Puerto Rico, and its precious soil, a tiny island struggling to overcome human-caused environmental degradation.
An island that once brewed life now brews angst and confusion.
Guy Ginsberg of George Washington University elevates the story of resilience in sustainability and the bold ways in which Costa Rica has adopted electric vehicles and carbon control measures.
Costa Rica's electricity grid had run solely on renewables for 300 days straight.
For those living in a food desert, the problem is access. Gillian Hall and Jennifer MEISLINA from SUNY ESF meet a character who offers a simple solution: plant an extra row for the hungry.
Plant a Row aims to mitigate the harmful health effects of food deserts in disadvantaged communities.
Before we change our behavior, we must change the narrative, says Caitlin West of GW. Her podcast explores ways to motivate action and change the way we think about climate.
Whatever we do, however we indulge ourselves, depends on the support we receive from our environment.
Tough stuff, tough stuff.
Oh. And the winner is Guy Ginsberg, George Washington University.
Guy is on study abroad in Costa Rica, where he filed his podcast, so he's not here with us. So we will inform him, and he will be, I'm sure, surprised.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next category.
Yes, best shareable video. The nominees are.
Deepti Banzel Gage from George Washington University shares a small but mighty innovation from nature, water fleas, and their potential to knock algae blooms out of our lakes. It's easy to villainize plastic, but GW's Amber Miller tells us how the ban on single-use straws may adversely affect those with disabilities. From University of Mississippi, TERRIUS Harris asks us to breathe in and breathe out and take a minute to reflect and connect with the world around us.
Conservation is not just a word. It's a feeling. It's an answer. It even means to try.
Mackenzie Sadler from SUNY's College of Environmental Science and Forestry looks at how insects might be the innovation we need to prevent wasted food, from compost to, yes, a food source.
As more and more research on insects becomes available, it's easy to see that maybe they hold the answer to what we should do with our leftover food.
The future is female. Arkansas's Haley Knighton and Christina Trexler cleverly tell the story of STEMinism and how we close the gender gap in science.
Unfortunately, women suffer the detrimental effects of the climate apocalypse at a much greater rate than the other gender.
GW's Dylan Tripiano takes us inside a new innovation on food waste, an app for consumers to recover food from restaurants and stores before it hits the landfill.
Last Call is an online platform that allows restaurants and grocery stores to discount any surplus food.
And the best shareable video? So this is like the short form Instagram platform, right?
And the winner is all of them.
We wish.
TERRIUS Harris, University of Mississippi.
What do the judges say about TERRIUS Harris?
This piece uses its concept and emotional connections to tell a great story. I really love the intro, and I think it hooked me from the start to pay attention. I think this is the best emotional tie I've seen in a short piece in a while. Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations.
This is for you.
Let's do a picture.
And this is for you. Oh, yes, we're taking pictures.
Take a picture. Sven?
All right.
There we go. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Have a
Oh,
seat.
Terrius, that's yours also.
Yeah, there we go. And there we go.
Last but definitely not, yes. All right.
Okay, next category.
Best video. The nominees are
George Washington University senior Arianna Dunham takes us to Tidewater, Virginia, to reveal climate challenges facing coastal residents and how they adapt to protect their homes.
One of the ways stove in one of the windows, so then the cottage really flooded.
Innovations don't always have to be high-tech. Molly Glick, a correspondent from Northwestern University, shares how researchers invented a way for farmers to test crops on the go.
So our project is about enabling farmers to detect if they've got diseases in their crops.
It's Planet versus Plastic for Anna Lindquist and Angelique Herring from Eckerd College. But can that problematic plastic be turned into beautiful art to inspire change?
I've never done a project this big or in any capacity like this. I have always loved art.
Ellen Koch from the University of Wisconsin-Madison explores hydroponics and sustainable agriculture in the face of climate change.
Josie and Lucas are the founders of Free Salad, a student org here at UW-Madison dedicated to showcasing the problems with industrial agriculture and why hydroponic agriculture is a solution.
Try this one on for size. Ann Nguyen and Victoria Middleton from GW explore the environmental footprint of fast fashion and how we can shop more sustainably.
Sustainable fashion is about more than how we buy clothes. It's about how we use them.
Mariana Rullo, a correspondent from SUNY ESF, takes us for a ride in Syracuse, New York, where a movement is stirring to make a busy road bike-friendly.
Bike lanes on Euclid isn't just an infrastructure design, it's a movement.
From UNC Chapel Hill, Emma Tobin focused her story on a compelling character, a 13-year-old chicken farmer in urban Charlotte, North Carolina.
I love you so much. I don't care what you think. I love you.
Waste not, want not. Ellen Wang from GW investigates how we get a handle on food waste using data and graphics to elevate the story.
If you compare worldwide greenhouse gas emissions of food waste to emissions of entire countries, food waste would be the third largest emitter after China and the U.S.
And the winner is Ellen Wang from George Washington University.
yes. And the judges mentioned clear, concise, and packed with great info. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Picture, picture.
You have to
Hold that. You hold that.
Yes,
You
that's
hold that.
yours. Okay. We'll hold it.
Terrific. Have a seat, Ellen. Congratulations. All right.
Want to do that one? Or want me to?
This one? This
We have a fan
This is
favorite.
a fan favorite. Okay, so the fan favorite is for those of you and people online to vote. And do we have a video on the fan favorite? I think so. Oh, go right to the envelope.
Right to the envelope.
There's no, all right.
Okay, fan favorite, Haley Knighton and Christina Trexler, University of Arkansas.
Now we have a fan favorite. So they had 1,326 votes when voting closed at 5 p.m. yesterday. The short shareable video judge said, love the use of media and facts, well-written script, impressed with the message and the production. Congratulations.
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 Thank you, sir. Thank you. Congratulations.
Right. Picture time.
I got a lot of these.
There we go.
We got to move here. Okay.
Big crowd.
All right. Okay, great. Now, we're one chair shy, so one of you sit, one of you can stand. One will go on the trip, only one person per team, unfortunately. But we want to
fight it out.
Not it.
Well, we may have to watch that.
Not it.
Do we have a clip of the shareable video? Okay, does Jamie Hestican want to join us? Well, do we want to see the clip first? See the clip first, okay. Maybe we'll see the clip first.
There is no question that various environmental issues are leaving their toll on the planet.
But environmental issues are women's issues, and unfortunately, women suffer the detrimental effects of the climate apocalypse at a much greater rate than the other gender.
This is why a woman is 14 times more likely than a man to die in a natural disaster.
Bravo, okay. So where is Jamie Hestican? Professor Hestican? Come on up. We have a mic for...
Dan didn't tell me I was coming on stage.
Dan didn't tell me you were coming on stage either, so we're all surprised. This is good. Let's see if we can get a mic. You have something you want to say?
No, I was just going to, I asked when we made a video, I wasn't trying to be presumptuous, but we always do a lot of team stuff, and so I say, hey, what happens if we win, and who are we going to choose? Do we draw hats? That doesn't seem fair, and Sven wouldn't like that at all, and so I talked to people at Arkansas, and the Honors College Dean and our department said that if 2 students win, they'd pay for the second student to come.
Ah. All right, well, thank you very much. All right, congratulations. And I should say that Jamie Hestican was at Planet Forward years ago. He's been one of the cheerleaders for this project. He's doing amazing work at the University of Arkansas and is both a proponent, an advocate, and an activist for diversity in science. So, Jamie, thanks to you very, very much.
Wait, I got to take a picture of you.
We have courtesy of Patagonia, bags to get everybody launched. So can we bring out the bags for everybody? And I'm going to take one of those. Give me one while you give the others. And we've got interesting things to get everybody launched, as I mentioned, to include, if I can find it here.
Frank has yours, Peter.
I have yours. You'll get it, I promise. But I just wanted to say that among the things that you will have in this book, in this bag, everybody will be reading this book, and I recommend it to everybody, The Beak of the Finch, all right? This is a fascinating story of several scientists who camped out for a long, long time and visited many times Daphne Major, which we'll sail right by, to literally experience evolution. And the other book is from somebody that I don't know, you may not want to do anything with it, but it's mine, and it's Ask More, and I give this to you because for you and for everybody here, your success, your learning, your discovery will be built on the foundation of the questions that you ask. And on this trip and throughout life, the more you ask, the more you will learn and benefit. So we wish you well, and this is part of your packet, and I'll give this over here. There you go. So I want to say to all the other finalists, you did amazing work, and the caliber of story we saw very dramatically increase this year. One of the things we're going to be doing next year, Dr. Cheers, myself, Dan, Kim Ossie, who is our managing editor, we're going to be working more with our consortium schools and others to work with those of you who are interested in ramping up and meeting the challenge here for better storytelling, because we want you all to be better storytellers. So this is something that we're going to try to bake into our DNA going forward. We try to make some more campus visits, do some more webinars, do some more Skype sessions with classes, and we'll be working with faculty members and others and presidents in the audience to connect with your students, and we really look forward to that. So could we have a gigantic round of applause, please, for Sven Lindblad, Dr. Imani Cheers, our winners.
That was a good cameo.
Oh, I know. Like, all right, cool.
Thank you all. Please feel free to take your seats. Do we need a group picture, Adam? Have you got everything you need? Yeah. Yes. All right. Great.
Group photo.
Group photo of this.
Yeah.
This group. All right. In the middle.
And then, are we not mistaken? Are we breaking for lunch? Did we tell them?
I'll do that. Yeah. All right. So right here.
Yes, we need that too. All the finalists.
Okay.
Also.
And while we're doing this, I just want to say Thank you. Where do you want us? Come on. Okay. Sven, you're here. Come on. Put yourself in the middle. There we go. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. We'll see you in the Galapagos. Thanks, guys. I just want to say one thing before you break. Lunch is courtesy of Sweet Green. I'd love to talk to any faculty or any others who are around who've got ideas about next year and beyond. I also want to specially thank Sven again and all those who supported this project. Michelle, thanks to you and NCSE. And tell you this, the power of story, you've seen it again and again. Steve Winter demonstrated it graphically, beautifully, powerfully. Really happens. You change minds, you change ideas, you change policy, you change behavior through your stories. So be brilliant, creative storytellers, and it's for the planet. It's for all of us. And it's not some preachy kind of thing. It's the real deal. It's the real deal, and it comes from the heart. Would you join me, please, again, in thanking Dr. Cheers for all of her great work? And can we have a super shout-out for people who've been up in the booth running lights and video?
Thank you. Our backstage.
People back in the back who are doing audio.
Jill, backstage.
Backstage, who've gotten everybody in and out on time.
Yeah. And you all.
Do I see Kimasi over here to Kim? Where is Dan Reed? Where is Dan? There's Dan to Dan. Where's Hannah? Where's Hannah? Hannah down here? Hannah Dale? All right. There's Hannah. All right. Is Dylan in the room? There's Dylan. He cut all these videos you saw. And Rachel Ray, who dug up so much stuff. And our Planet Forward team in the back with T-shirts. Can we thank them?
And thank you all. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for staying. I know it's a lot going on, but we're so grateful because if you all aren't here and you don't engage, then it's kind of hard for us to do what we do. So thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Sesno, Frank Sesno, who created this 10 years ago and allowed me 6 years ago to join, and I'm forever grateful because you've inspired me to continue what I do. So thank you.
Bravo, and thanks to all of you. Let's have some lunch.
Thanks, guys. Let's go eat.